Good morning. Time for coffee and tabletop gaming this morning because I'm going to be playing Dungeon Time Overland Adventures as opposed to a sports game. So Dungeon Time originally designed, Dell used my sports engine, my Time Sports game engine, and created an old school dungeon crawler, which is fantastic. In my playtesting, in my enjoying his Dungeon Time game, I came up with an Overland Adventures module, rules for traveling to locations and adventuring on the Overland map before you do your dungeon crawl. So again, Del Branham made Dungeon Time using my engine for sports games, my Time engine, and of course I'm credited with the Overland Adventures and of course the Time engine. This is available, however this cover is not. I purposely made my own. This is not for sale. I chose my own cover and I printed it in what's called large magazine. I wanted it to be, when I was growing up, I loved the large format comic books like the Savage Sword of Conan, the old black and white large format magazines. They all had that really great comic book quality paper, and of course Heavy Metal, which was large format magazines. The only difference is Lulu does not print their large format magazines with a paper cover, which I wish they did. I wanted a paper cover, but it's still cardstock matte. It's beautiful. So ironically, inside is exactly what I wish the cover was. This paper is beautiful. There's Dell's cover. So this is Dungeon Time and Dungeon Time Overland Adventures put into one book. This is for sale, I think, in a spiral bound by Dell. This again I made for myself and had printed and shipped, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Large format, and it's got the comic paper, but it's the high coat paper. It's really top quality paper. So I'm going to do a little tutorial. I've played this on the channel before, but I have not played it, rules as written after we had agreed on all the rules for my Overland Adventures, etc. So we're going to first do the basics. We're going to create our party. So I need to create a warrior. So I'm going to have a warrior. I'm going to have a cleric. And I'm going to have a thief. My first video on the channel, the winter campaigns, feature characters from my book, my novel, Elric the Thief, Andrus the Cleric, and Thraben the Warrior from my first novel. But today, what is today? My God, is it the 31st? Is it February 1? I can't recall. We're going to play Dungeon Time Overland Adventures. Alright, so we're going to roll up a warrior. So first, let's find out what my warrior is. 1. Oh, no, that's not good. So, a warrior, we're going to name him Wesley. And he is 0. That's not good. Our cleric, 6. Hallelujah, we got to have a good one. He's a 2+. And this will be Thorogood, the cleric, like George Thorogood, bad to the bone. Oh, and my thief. Is that a fair roll? Let's do that over just in case that wasn't a fair roll. 5. We'll take 5. 2, and my thief will be Louis. Okay, so we've got our characters made. Our group. Let's see here. Our party value. Right, this is 4+, so 4+ is going to put us as a B. So our party value is a B. This goes against the matchups against difficulty for dungeons. Overland Travel, we use their individual ratings. Okay, now I have to pick on the map where our headquarters is at. And I think what I'd want is my thief to secure a boat. So before I pick my headquarters on the map, I'm going to actually go back to the Dungeon Time. So we got the Dungeon Time game, and then we have the Overland Adventure module, which is optional. So first thing we need to do here is create our 3-person party. Check. We have to select our home HQ, or your thief can attempt to secure a ship to allow you to travel via waterways. And we're going to try to do that right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is to try to secure a ship. Where is my... before the party begins the expedition, I'm going to roll the number of days provisions. Where's my ship roll? Oh, successful ship roll. Here we go. So we got to go. Thief can secure a ship, which will become the headquarters of the guild, which should be our party. And that's where we can also recover and regroup and recruit, would be at our ship. Our ship would actually be docked somewhere in which we could recruit when we're between sessions. Let's see here. Where is my roll for that, though? Acquiring a ship. A roll of 6 or more. So my thief is a 2. So I have to roll 4 or better for him to secure, because you add his rating to the d6 roll. So I need to roll a 4 or better to secure a ship. He does. All right, so we're going to have a ship. So our HQ, our guild HQ is, let's see here, is the, oh God, is the, our guild HQ is the ship. Ocean's Pearl. How about that? Ocean's Pearl will be the name of our ship. Now that becomes our guild headquarters, so I can travel via waterways. I still have to do overland travel if I'm trying to get to a place that's inland from the waterways, right? Okay, so we have a guild. So Lewis, while we're stationed in a port city, is able to procure the use of a ship. Ship's captain, let's give the ship's captain a name. Ship's cap will be Dingleroot. So Dingleroot is our ship's captain. He is not going to play a role other than, you know, my imagination as to how he might perceive the guild of characters. Now, so we're going to end up being called, the party will be called, how about the Pearl Hunters? There we go. Pearl Hunters, right? Treasure Seekers, whatever. All right. So we get to start. We get 3 treasure to start. So currently we're going to have treasure. 3. Let's go all the way back to the book. How do we know that? Because it says up front here. It says up front, we are here, somewhere it said it. Well, begin with 3 treasure. Pay 1 treasure after completing a dungeon to have access to the next. You may also pay 1 treasure to permanently add an adventurer to your stable. Right now, we're not going to spend any of that treasure, but right now we currently have 3 treasure. All right, so we got to go all the way back to the beginning of this. The first thing we have to do in the rules is create our characters, pick our home headquarters. We went ahead and established a ship. Pick our quest location from the map. So where are we headed? Where's our goal? We're going to pick a quest location. And I'm going to assume we were up here at this unnamed city on the peninsula. And we want to go, let's do, last time we did Windmere Citadel here. I think we're going to go around the northern cape to Bardshire Stronghold. So we're going to be headed for. So our quest locale will be Bardshire Stronghold. We've heard rumor that there's good treasure to be had there, right? Okay, so Bardshire Stronghold. That difficulty is, let's see here, it's 6 floors, or 6 rooms, or whatever you want to call it, 6 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's pretty average. There's a D, a B, an A, a C, an F, and a B. So it's pretty, I would say it's fairly challenging. It's not as long as Windmere Citadel. Okay, so Bardshire, we're going to have to go around. So the thing about a ship is a ship can automatically travel the waterways all the way to the closest point. So we could go around here into the bay and cross over, or all the way around to the edge and go in. Either way, we still have to make the transition. We have to make the travel. But when you're in the waterways, no matter how far it is, right, we can select it. And that's going to be an entire week's travel. On the waterways, we'll have to make the roll, right? The point is, I'm going to need to move this. Now, I need to get a map made that I can set out on the table. So we'd start here. We'd secure a ship. And that's across the bay. We just travel across the bay to Bardshire Stronghold. So we're going to have to make a roll for the waterways. But first, before we can do that, we have to secure our expedition location. We've done that. We have to then understand travel and how excursion works. But before we can go, we have to get our provisions. Provisions are required for each day. When a party has no provisions, they are reduced in rating by 1 for a full point. A party may spend a day hunting, foraging to earn fresh provisions while traveling overland. Before the party begins the expedition, they receive a roll of 6 for the number of days carried for overland travel. 1 turn is a day, 1 day travel. So when you're on a boat, it's just going to be assumed you're fishing, etc. Right? So when we're on a ship, that week's travel doesn't count against our rations. But when we start to march inland, it will cost us. So how much do we start with? 5 days. So provisions, 5 days. So we're pretty much loaded up, ready to go. We have secured a ship, so we know how many provisions we have. And we know that we've secured a ship. We can take waterways. And acquiring a ship, we did that. Establish a guild, we've done. And now establishing a guild would allow us, once we arrive, if we don't want to stay on the ship, we can make any civilization icon on the map. That's any, even if it isn't named, we can give it a name. But for instance, this up here I might give a name to Courtney, which is in my novels. Courtney is the Bayside town. So we left from Courtney. So while in Courtney, and that's the unnamed city in the North Peninsula there. Bardshire Stronghold is in this next city area, but that is considered civilization. So anything that's a town or a village or whatever is considered civilization. So Bardshire Stronghold occurs civilization, but first we have to make our waterways excursion. So we move our token to the area in which our boat would dock or anchor, right? So we've done that. Now we have to make a waterway roll because we are traveling on the water. So the first thing we have to do is make our waterway roll. So we're traveling by ship, and I have to pick who my leader is. I can pick who the leader is all the time or every day or whatever. My cleric is a 2+. I'm going to use Thoroughgood as our party leader. So I get to add his 2+, or 2 to any die roll, right? So this is our travel. This is our week's journey going around across the bay. Might be a little less than a week looking at the map, but it could be also bad weather or something that makes it a week. 3 plus 2 is 5+ because of our plus. So 3, 5+. Poor weather cuts the distance along the coast in half. Damn. So we actually only get halfway because of poor weather. There we go. Now, technically, we are forced to roll again to get there. So again, it's going to take us almost double the time to get anchored there. 2 plus 2 plus is 2+, so 2, so that's going to fall between 2 and 3. Pirates attack the ship. The warrior must turn them away. 3 plus 4. Oh my God. So let's see here. Let's say here, week 1, ocean, poor weather. Remember, we don't have to use provisions when on the ship, right? Week 2, pirates attack. So we were out there long enough. When the weather cleared, the pirates found us, right? Pirates attack. And these guys aren't easy. They're a 3+, 4 hits. So 3+, now in the Overland Adventure rules, it's very simple. You don't have to go to the warrior table. You use 3+. So my warrior is a 0. So I have to roll 3 or more in this fight for him to win. As far as wounds, anytime he fells, so if we fell this, we don't suffer damage. We lose a week. So, but if he, let's say he wins 4 in a row, he can slowly defeat all of these, right? So 3 plus is all he has to roll to do damage to them. He has a 0 rating. 5. So he's going to knock one down. So he's down. They're down to 3. If we fail on these charts, if you fail, you suffer whatever it says, but generally means you lose a week or you lose a day, which means provisions are being used. However, on a boat, we don't have to worry about that. Oh, so we lose. So at some point, the pirates are going to defeat us, right? And that forces us to lose the day. So we're still not at our location, right? So week 3, so we might not have been killed. We might not have lost any treasure. We just ended up in a battle in which we had to flee. And it's taken us 3 weeks, or how much time you want to see this as, right? And 2 is pirates attack again. Now, the pirates are reset, so we're going to have pirates again. What a horrible pirates. They are a 3 plus 4H. We need a good warrior, man. We're never going to get to our location. 3, we needed a 3 plus, so they're good. He's down to 3. No pluses for these. Oh, we lose again. So we escape week 4. And let's roll again. Come on, Thorogood. Get us where we're going. 5 plus, so 7. 5, 6, 7 plus. The captain of the ship demands 1 treasure to calm the crew. Oh, so we've been out here so long. Oh my God. Captain must calm mutiny. Oh my gosh. Costs us -1 treasure. So we have already lost a treasure. We're down to 2 treasure, and we are still not to our place. Holy cow. There it is. 8 plus. Smooth sailing. The ship arrives at its destination in 1 week's time. Okay, so all of this happened in 1 week. It'll tell you how long the time is. So we finally get this. So this would have been like day 1, day 2, day 3. So day 1, day 2, day 3. So what a rough week. And by the end of the week, we arrive. So it'll be week's journey. Arrive where we can dock or anchor. Arrive at destination. Holy cow. So what an exciting week. Poor weather held us up. Pirates attacked us. When the weather cleared, pirates attacked us. We escaped them. And then they found us again. And this time, again, we escaped them. And at this point, the crew is mutinying. And the captain says we got to pay them off. And so we have to give up some treasure to calm the crew and to buy their loyalty. And then fortunately, that's that would have been day 1, 2, 3, 4. And by day 5, whatever week's journey, we arrive at our destination. Holy cow, that was rough. So we're now anchored out here between the island and the peninsula, and we have to travel inland. So this would be now overland. So this was by sea. And now we're going to be going overland. And this is through what's called open terrain to civ. All right, civilization. However, so that means we have to travel across open terrain to the civilization. So let's go back to open terrain, and we're going to have our party leader as Thorogood still. Grasslands and open terrain, +2 to this. 3 plus. A pack of wild dogs, 3 plus, must be dealt with during the day by the warrior. So the warrior must roll a 3 or more to deal with a pack of dogs. Remember, it doesn't tell you you're wounded or you don't suffer. What it does is it means you have to go back to the shore. So we got to lose a day's travel. 4, we're going to defeat the wild dogs and get to our location, which is the quest location, civilization. Now, we're not trying to enter the town or the village. We're just getting to Bardshire's stronghold. So we dealt with day 1, dispatched pack of dogs, Good job, Wesley. And arrive at Bardshire. And again, the icon on the map we can assume is also civilization, and the stronghold is somewhere outside of this civilization. But we're just trying to get to Bardshire. Now we can camp. All right, so camp is very easy, right? You have to camp every day. You have to use provisions every day. So we had 5 provisions, and remember, traveling on the ocean does not use provisions, but we did have 1 day's travel, so our provisions are down to 4. Right? Our treasure's down to 2, our provisions are down to 4, but we arrive at our destination. Okay. Now, camp allows us to rest, heal, etc. before we do anything else. And your choices when you are camping, let's get back to the main page. We can rest, recover, don't need to. Nobody is actually injured or wounded. We can hunt or forage, and you're really only allowed to do this when you're out of provisions. So if you have them, you have to continue to use them. You don't get to just keep stockpiling provisions. So you can only begin to hunt or forage if you're already starving. So we have 4, we're good there, right? And we can do what's called investigation with the thief to see if we find any treasure around the area we're camping. So we could camp, we're going to camp, because you're not going to go into the stronghold at night. So we will arrive, set, so camp. So day 1 we arrived, we set camp. So we dispatched a pack of dogs on the way. We arrived at our Bardshire stronghold, and we set camp. And the next day we can choose to spend the whole day looking for treasure, but then that's going to use up a provision before we start in the Bardshire. We had to spend treasure. We have 2. So I think yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and on day 2 enter Bardshire. All right, so there's an example of how Overland. So this is day 1. Day 2, we're going to enter Bardshire. All right, so that's done. So let's go over here to Bardshire, all the way back at the main game. And Bardshire is a stronghold, so we need to find stronghold. So we got stronghold keep right here, right? That's page 11 and 12. So first off, we're going to set our, where's it at here? We're going to set our difficulty. Okay, so our party is a B, and Bardshire, come on. Here we go. Bardshire is a D. B, A, C, F, and B is Bardshire. Alright, so first up is the first area of the Bardshire stronghold. Maybe this is outside the courtyard, right around the stronghold, trying to get past the old stone walls or something like that, right? Just to enter the stronghold. So we're looking at our B versus D. So B versus D, we're going to be looking at A, right? So A is our first challenge. 624. So this will tell us what we encounter. I don't have to guess, actually. A small wooden box constructed of sliding panels is inside a small, tattered cloak that lies discarded on the ground in this small alcove. A thief, special 3, then table. So the thief is a 2, so all I have to roll is above a 3 and get to add 2 to it. So I need to technically roll a a 1. So we're going to get there. Then I get to roll the table. The thief is a 2. See if we get anything here. 3 is find 2 treasure. How about that? Small box. Found 2. Wow, we could abandon now and go to town, but we're not going to. So our treasure now is up to 4. How about that? Provisions, again, this is all in the same day, so we don't have to use any provisions while we're adventuring through the labyrinth, right? So in the courtyard, as we come through the old stone courtyard, past the old broken down walls, trying to find an entrance to the stronghold. We find in an alcove a tattered cloak, and wrapped in it a small box with 2 treasure. And already our thief, Louis, is kicking butt. All right, number 2, B versus B. It's a C chart, so when we're looking at C, and by the way, this was number 24. So let's roll on the stronghold. Whoops, let's roll here. We're looking at C now. 4 is 26. This will be number 26. As we continue through the stronghold, now trying to find our way into the actual stronghold. 26. A pen holds emasculated livestock. So we're still in the courtyard. Some expired and lay trampled on the still packed and jostling herd. An undead dines on one of the fallen. So rising, so a zombie devouring sheep or I would say swine, probably devouring swine, right? That sounds like a pen of hogs, and there's a zombie and they're devouring swine. The cleric must go to work. The cleric sees this, must turn him. So the cleric now, and again, very simple, it does not ask the cleric to do anything but roll the table. So the cleric table, very simple, we roll 1d6, we add his rating to it. I'm sorry, we use his rating, don't add it. He's a 2+, so 6, he's going to heal 3 wounds. Or, obviously, would succeed. That isn't right, hold on. 26. What are we on? Oh, wrong one, 26. I'm reading the wrong thing. Cleric table. Cleric table would be heal 1 wound. So ultimately he would succeed at turning the creature. Let me double check that. Undead dines on one of the fallen. Cleric table. Yeah, well, I can't not succeed unless I suffer a wound, right? No. Yeah, I'm not certain what that means. That's not good. Cleric table. We heal 3. Does that mean he... Oh, he heals the undead zombie. Holy cow. So he heals the zombie. And holy cow, would that be... that heals the zombie. Because there is no challenge. It doesn't say cleric 3+. It just says cleric table. So if it said special cleric 3, I would have to roll, right? So it's not telling me I'm turning it. I'm literally healing the zombie. Holy cow. Heal the zombie. I'm assuming reversing its condition. So he heals it back to life, reversing its condition. It turns out it's a stable boy named John, and they feed John. They give him provision. I'll give him provision here. So we're going to give up a provision to feed poor John, as though although he was feasting on a dead. We're not going to let him feast on these dying animals, and John will send away. He healed him, reversed his condition, and John, stable boy, has no recollection of who he is, what he's doing here, and what this stronghold used to be, because he's been a zombie for who knows how long. Stable boy is then sent to the town of Bardshire. Go boy, head in that direction, you'll be safe now. Okay, so that's number 26. That's interesting, right? So we just healed him, and I did roll the best possible thing I could roll, so obviously it would be a positive outcome, right? All right. So now we're on the third area of the stronghold. This is an A versus our B, so B versus D. We're going to be looking at D for this portion of the adventure. 3:20, number 20 on stronghold. Okay, so let's go back here to stronghold. Number 20. The walkway along this battlement allows one to peer out from arrow slots used by defenders before they were overrun. Bleached bones crunch underfoot. So we're just traveling and investigating the battlements. So we're starting to put together the story. This place had been overrun. There are bleached bones everywhere. The choleric Thorogood warns that these may at some point reanimate. We may find ourselves surrounded by skeletons. Be wary. All right, we're now on C. B versus C. We're a B on this one. Now we're going to knock this out. Uh-oh, 8. Interesting. So we're back down to 8. The battlements here along the curtain wall have been compromised greatly as they have weathered a great attack from the side of the fortification. So again, we continue along the battlements, putting together this story of what happened here. F, so we're B on F now. AA, so we're going to use AA. 2 on AA's number 30. A large chamber built into the curtain wall is a more solid part of the ruin. The doors are battered in and the remnants of the past battle lie scattered across the floor. So now you can see where they breached the stronghold, where the attackers breached the walls into a chamber through curtained, the battlements topple the wall in, off the battlements into a chambered curtain room. We now know how they entered the facility, or the stronghold. And B is C. Our final investigation is 3. 19. Man, we haven't repeated any. I love that. 19. The treasury has been pilfered, yet not totally. Special thief of 2. Add to the thief table. Here we go. So thief of 2. So my thief is already a 2. So I just have to roll above that. Yep, we're good to go. And we go to the thief table. Our thief is a 2 and 3. We're going to come away with 2 more treasure. And Louis finds 2 treasure. Wow. So that's fascinating. On the final roll of the adventure, we actually find 2 treasure. So our treasure now, although we had given provisions, our treasure is now 6. We are rocking and rolling, and we are going to have completed. So in one day, right, we complete our quest, learn of the attack, and discover treasure, saving, and healing a sick boy. How about that? So he was almost undead. He was revived as he had become. So not too bad. This would be if this was an experience point game, no doubt we would have racked up some experience, because flipping a zombie over and recovering, completely healing a zombie child back to a human condition. Finding out, of course, his memory would be, shot to hell. He wouldn't remember anything. Stable boy, we send him back. We feed him. I gave him a provision. I'm willing to do that, to feed the boy something other than these poor livestock that have been, right? And then as we traverse the battlements, we see where it had been attacked. There were bones scattered about. Choleric warns us they could at any time reanimate. We'd be surrounded by an army of skeletons. We continue along the battlements, learning more, and then we find a breach in the wall that tumbles through battlement curtains into a room, where we eventually get to the final chamber and discover, although it had been pilfered, 2 treasure hidden thanks to Lewis's sharp eye. our Louis' sharp eye, and we have completed our first. Now, again, you can come back to this location many, many times. This will be our first adventure. And there we have it, folks. We will have to spend a treasure, right, to start another adventure. But we currently have 3 provisions, 6 treasure. And from here now, we do have our headquarters is on the ship. So we'd have to either make new headquarters at Bardshire or leave our ship where it's at. And we could actually now, we could now do some just overland travel. If you can see on the map, we could go from Bardshire to Forest. We'd have to make a Forest check for day 1, and then Civilization check for day 2, Forest check for day 3. So we can now travel around just investigating Overland, trying to go over the mountains. So we could try to go through here, over the mountains to the Windmere Citadel. Of course, that means our ship is all the way up here. But any of these civilizations we can attempt to turn into headquarters if we want to abandon our boat. We can just leave our boat and turn any of these into guilds, right, along the way. So even if we abandon our ship, we would not be exiled. We can literally, when we enter this civilization or this one or even Bardshire, and set our guild up. So if we want to, we can just begin overland excursions trying to get to other places, or we can stay around Bardshire Stronghold camp. Because now, so this is day 1. And this is a session, and it's done, right? We actually quest completed, right? So this would be success, but we could then camp and do it again, or we could camp, go to the civilization, go back to our boat, whatever we want to do. But there it is, folks. That is a complete session of Dungeon Time Overland Adventures. There was one tricky moment there when I got to the healing, when it did not ask the cleric to turn him or to banish him. It asked the cleric to make a table roll, and the table roll can only cause damage or heal damage. If it had caused a wound, he would have killed the zombie boy. As it is, I rolled the highest possible healing, and so therefore he would have just recovered and rescued the boy from his undead condition, basically reversing his condition. Very, very cool. And we don't need hard rules about how can you deal with zombies. You turn them or kill them. We know we can make sense that if it says on the charts you can cause wound or heal wound, but causing a wound would be killing the boy, the zombie. Healing him would be reviving the zombie. So there we have it, and that's how I make sense of it. We don't have to. You can write any narrative you want, but to understanding how the rules work, that makes sense. And anyway, there it is, folks. So that was our first adventure. So we made our group. Wesley, our warrior, not very good. Young man, I bet he's 13. He's a young kid. Thorogood, our very experienced 2+ cleric, he's probably the older statesman of the group, probably 18 years old, an acolyte. And Louis, his friend, who did not take up the cloth, but they remained good friends. And Louis is a rogue, and they work together as they decide to go out and do help the world and make treasure, and they call themselves the Pearl Hunters. Louis secures the ship, Ocean's Pearl. Captain Dingleroot sets out. They do secure their 5 days worth of hardtack and provisions before they set out. Day 1, they suffer poor weather and don't make much time. They get half the way. So anytime you fail, you either have to go back to your original location or you get half the distance and you have to go again. So day 1, poor weather forces them to hole up. Day 2, pirates find them in the clearing weather and they battle them. They do some damage, but they ultimately have to escape. And if you fail that roll, that means you literally have to go back to where you started, or you are just held up. They escape the pirates. Again, day 3, the pirates find them again. They have another battle. They do some damage, but again, they have to just escape the pirates. Day 4, the captain is facing a crew mutiny after these pirates. I'm sure they're terrified. Why don't we get out of this bay, away from these pirates? And he says, we're going to have to pay these blokes more, so we have to cough up a treasure to calm the mutiny. Fortunately, we have it. And then, finally, day 5, we arrive at our destination in the bay, just west of the Bardshire stronghold. So we weigh anchor We go ashore. We travel in our first day across the civilization from Open to Bardshire, our destination. We camp that night. We use our provisions. Day 2, we enter Bardshire stronghold to investigate, to learn, to do whatever it takes. And we go into Bardshire stronghold. And there in the courtyard, we find a small box in an alcove wrapped in cloth, and Louis discovers 2 treasure in that box. We find in the courtyard, in a pen, eating starving pigs or hogs, a zombie boy. He is able to reverse his condition and save the boy. We send the stable boy. We give him some real food and send him toward Bardshire village. We continue traveling. We climb up the battlements. We travel along the battlements, seeing where they attacked the walls, where they breached the walls, where they got onto the battlements. We continue along the battlements until they breach into the actual stone fortress, into a room, a curtained-walled room, in which we saw had been ransacked. We investigate that fortress, and we find it had been pilfered and looted, but Louis' sharp eye does find 2 treasure among the ruins, and we have completed our very first quest and session in Dungeon Time Overland Adventures. Pretty cool. So when you break it down, that's a pretty epic adventure. The first week, just trying to cross the bay, weather pirates, an angry crew. We managed to get where we're going, and in one day we're able to investigate, save a boy, and earn some treasure. And we can stay and do more, or we can move on, or we can get on our ship and go somewhere else. There you have it, folks. Thanks for watching. This has been Dungeon Time by Dale Branham, an Overland Adventures module added to it by myself. Thank you. Bye-bye.